Hi guys, here's a quick video to just explain how fuel processing works on Digitweb. So as you can see, we've got fuel that was added here, and the fuel usage on this device is quite nice, fuel usage. So if first things first, you go to a fuel graph. So what the fuel graph does is it takes all the raw data and it throws it together in a graphical representation. So if the vehicle is not using ignition to plot trips, you just click at the top here on ignition and it'll take ignition away. So then you know this will show you where, according to the processing of trips, it processes on speed only. So now you can see where the Digitweb algorithm sees trips, and then you can see here's a fill that happens here. Theoretically ignition was off because it's processing according to speed, and there the fuel add happens and you see the fuel level there, the fuel add. So this is perfect. So what happens if we switch ignition on? Let's just switch that on quickly, and we reprocess this. Now with trip ignition on, you'll see there's this ugly little trip over here. So what happened here is this fuel started at this level, and according to the trip processing, the trip ended with a higher fuel level because the add was between the ignition going on there and the ignition going off here, which leaves us with a minus 473 liters used. Now this will obviously skew up fuel consumption over whichever period this thing is included in. So if we go to fuel graph, we just switched ignition on. So now you'll see with ignition on, you can take speed away because we're just working on ignition here. The ignition went on here, fuel was added there up to that level, and ignition went off there. So according to this trip, which started there with that fuel level, the trip ended with that fuel level, that's why it's skewed. So if you don't want fuel levels that's negative 473, there's two things you can do here. You can first tell the client, like, according to the law, and the best way to do this is if a vehicle gets to a fuel pump, he switches ignition off here, the fuel gets added, and he switches ignition on when he drives away. That'll give you a perfect fuel end here. It'll start with a new level and it'll calculate the fuel add. The other thing is you switch ignition off, you make your trip filters very small, and then if you reprocess, you'll have a lot of more trips because it's not based on ignition. This will obviously not work for vehicles like TLBs or yellows that stand still in the same area and does a lot of work just in a small area, where if it doesn't have a high speed, the trips won't trigger, so you won't get any trip information or hourly rate. So ignition needs to be on for those type of vehicles. And then you'll see there now it's fixed. The last trip actually used 48 liters. There's a fuel add. It starts with 816 and goes down to 807, and that looks a lot better. So just keep that in mind, guys. Whenever you've got fuel issues, the fuel graph will always give you the raw data, and you can pretty much go and switch off what your settings are set up as. Alright, thanks.